Big decisions aren't easy for a reason.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
Welcome into another edition of Southwest Bias, brought to you by our friends at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. And we are live from Studio K. We moved aside. No, I got the point wrong. Brought to you by our friends at Circle K. Become a member of the Inner Circle today by downloading the Circle K app for free. And I blame Shane for throwing me off there. Big decisions are tough, and I've been going through one with my wife. No, she's not trying to decide where my next house will be. No, she's trying to figure out where our daughter's going to go to school. And we've been going through this whole process, spreadsheets, looking at everything, deciding on the benefits, the negatives, what's the right decision, how are we going to figure this out? And the Arizona Cardinals have a very big decision that I'm sure they've got charts and spreadsheets and interviews and all sorts of things, questions up the wazoo that they've been asking about this team. And this week, we'll define what the future is for the Arizona Cardinals, whether they get the decision right or wrong. Over the weekend, we found out there are 3 finalists: Mike LaFleur, Anthony Campanile, and Raheem Morris. And thanks to the Seattle Seahawks taking care of business against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, that means all 3 of them can now be hired and have their second interviews in person. Now, we heard Anthony Weaver is having a second interview. Nobody seems to be taking him as a serious candidate for the job. But Vance Joseph's name won't go away, and thanks to the New England Patriots, he could be hired this week too. Now, I think he is a very far off 4th, but there could be a situation where he winds up being there and being a guy that you turn to out of familiarity. I think there's one guy that stands above the rest, and we'll get into a whole ranking of these guys. But there's one answer that is actually going to make this a win, and the Cardinals cannot afford to get this wrong. I was thinking through it, and since they came to Arizona, they've only hired one coach with head coaching experience before. That was Denny Green. Didn't really work out. They've hired a bunch of promising coordinators along the way and hasn't really worked out either. I mean, I think it was 6 winning coaches in 106 years of the franchise, and I believe only 3 ever here in Arizona. And you can't get this wrong. This week is going to change the direction of everything about the franchise. Are you committed to offense? Are you looking at a defensive head coach? Who's going to be deciding who the next quarterback is and who's going to be actually trying to get them to reach an NFL level? Is it Mike LaFleur? Is it some OC that you're bringing in alongside Anthony Campanile or Raheem Morris? There's a lot of questions. And is Mike LaFleur going to interview with you? Would he accept the job? We don't know. We're going to find that out this week. Is LaFleur up for the Bills job, or is he a dark horse candidate up in Las Vegas? If he is, are you really ready to go with Anthony Campanile or Raheem Morris? Raheem has the head coaching experience. Did it in Tampa Bay and had a winning season. Did it in Atlanta and showed promise at the end of his time there in Atlanta as they won 4 straight down the stretch as he tried to save his job. Kind of pulled a reverse Jonathan Gannon. Wasn't enough to keep his job. Are you prepared for that? I want to bring a way to grade this. I know our friend Bo Brock has his juice meter, and he loves to talk about his juice and who's bringing the juice. But I said, no, look, if I'm going to tell you people how I view this, I got to go to a staple that I used to do. And we're going to the Nick Cage spectrum. We are going to take a look at each of these candidates based on Nick Cage movies and where they rank. How do I feel about these guys? Well, let's start. And number one on the list is Mike LaFleur. Raising Arizona is where I look at him. That early film from Nick Cage that kind of made everybody feel like this was a promising young actor, that big things could be coming, that they could actually see this guy grow into something more than Coppola's nephew, getting some movie roles. And in a lot of ways, he lived up to that hype. It was entertaining. It was interesting. It had its flaws, but in the end was a quality film and had a lot of promise. And I think Mike LaFleur is that. He hasn't called plays with the Rams. He did when he was with the Jets. He's exciting because he's been under McVay and the offense he's run. You have hope that he'll be able to figure out which quarterback could actually lead this team to the future and build an offense around them that it could actually succeed. You see the promise. Now there's cracks in it. We don't know how it's going to go as a play caller. We don't know how he's going to do without Matthew Stafford or how he's going to pick a young quarterback to play that role for him. We don't know what kind of staff he'll be able to put together. This is the first time, and he's going to have a truncated timetable thanks to how far the Rams went in the playoffs with other coaches already putting together their staff. There's questions, but you see the promise. And I think he's the guy that is at that kind of top of the list that you go, may not be perfect, may not be the big name that we wanted, but give him a chance. And I feel like that's where LaFleur is, and we'll have to see where that goes. Anthony Campanile, this one's my favorite. He's drive angry. Don't know if you know this Nick Cage film, but it was freaking insane the way that this movie went. Frantic, lots of energy, lots of cursing, just gets you amped up by watching it. Is it good? I still don't know, and I've watched it multiple times in the decade it's come out. My guess is no, but I'm entertained by it every time. I feel like that's what an Anthony Campanile team would be. You have no doubt that they're going to do everything that they can to motivate guys, that it's going to be action-packed, that there's going to be a lot of cursing, that you're going to, go, oh my gosh, this frantic energy is something. I mean, we saw that on social media this last week with all the Campanile clips that resurfaced as Cardinals fans were trying to convince themselves that this guy might be it. I think he's got it when it comes to the energy on the defensive end, turning that defensive squad into something you could be proud of. Look at Jacksonville the year before this one, how bad their defense was. They didn't make major changes, and Campanile turned it into one of the best in the NFL. He's going to be a hell of a soundbite. We're going to love that day after the game, hearing what coach said and the craziness that comes out of that. He'll be a damn good soundbite. I don't know if he'll be a good head coach. I think we'll be entertained at least for a little while. But I don't know if he's going to bring the goods to where they're going to be a winner. And that's a big concern. You know he's a leader of men. You know that he can pound the table and get guys fired up. And you know that that's something that this Cardinals front office and Monty Ossenfort is looking for. So he fits kind of what their mindset is, but will he actually succeed? Could he actually be a winner? Big question. That's why he's drive angry. Raheem Morris is National Treasure's Book of Secrets because we've seen it before. It's a sequel. We know the beats that are going to happen with it. We know exactly how the movie's going to play out, exactly what Nick Cage's character is going to do, and how, in the end, it'll lead to another adventure. That's Raheem Morris. We've seen him in Tampa Bay. We saw him in Atlanta. It's good. Not great. Good enough. Get you some wins. Probably be slightly above 500 or 500 team. And you know what's coming. he's that sequel. Because I don't think there's a lot of mystery in terms of what's going to happen with him. Now, maybe you're like, oh, well, what is the offensive coordinator going to be? How is the offense going to look? Yeah, that's a wrinkle, but it's not something that I go, yeah, it's going to be significantly different. I think we know who Raheem Morris is, and he's that safety school that you go to because it's good enough. It gets the job done. And then we get to the end. The last name on the list and looking at it on the Nick Cage spectrum, it's got to be Vance Joseph for me. And you know what he's going to be? Gone in 60 seconds, because that's about how long he's going to last. Hey-o. As the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals.
As the head coach
of the Arizona Cardinals. Look, he will be gone pretty quickly if he's named the Arizona Cardinals head coach. And you may watch it because there'll be some car wrecks and there'll be some action scenes. And in the end, you'll be a sub 500 team yet again, not playing your young guys. And he'll be out the door faster than Nick Cage was stealing cars in that movie in that one night that he did it. So that's where you're sitting. I think Mike LaFleur is the guy. He's the intrigue, the hope, the promise of something better. Anthony Campanile is loud and brash and action-packed. Not sure it's going to be a winner. And Raheem Morris is what we've already seen. He is the sequel, and all right, that's where he is. The Arizona Cardinals will define who they are for the next 5 years. Or maybe significantly less if you hire Vance Joseph. And they have to figure it out this week. They have to find that guy and be fully committed to it and fully buy into hiring the right coaches around them. Because if you get this wrong again, there's no way out. This will be who you are for the foreseeable future. But maybe that's just my Southwest bias. We welcome in the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. Shane, how are you, my friend?
I'm so good, Espo. How are you?
Good. What's your favorite Nick Cage movie?
Oh, Color Out of Space.
Colorado. I don't know that one.
That's a weird one. Or okay. Mandy.
So I've heard.
Probably Mandy, actually.
So that would be like hiring somebody, like that'd be hiring Phillip Rivers, a guy completely off the board weird.
No. Color Out of Space would be like Phillip Rivers, yeah.
Okay.
Mandy would be like a good coach, but that would be Sala, I think. Like Sala. A good coach, but kind of crazy. Because that's like full Nick Cage in that movie. He's insane in that movie.
I like it. I like that. I'm glad you're playing along. With it.
Who would Wally's Wonderland be?
Oh, Wally. Some really quiet coach that just does not talk, but then drops the hammer. I mean, maybe it is a little Jonathan Gannon. Like, it was a massacre. He didn't say a lot of substance, and then he left.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Wally's Wonderworld was Jonathan Gannon.
It did start off really weird, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pew,
and the sun did come out, there after that long night at Wally's Wonderworld.
It was surprisingly scary.
It was. You expected something different than you got.
Yeah.
So, there we go. Who's your favorite right now?
I mean, the marriage between LaFleur and Morris is the dream, I think.
Agreed.
Johnny's been pounding that table. But honestly, these three candidates, if this truly is the final three and there's no surprise anything, I'm fine with it. Like genuinely, there's established success proven that you can see a path with all of them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's a couple of candidates in this search where I'm like, I just don't see it at all. I could see it with all three of these guys. And I think a lot of people are dogging on Raheem Morris because of the lack of success that he had in Atlanta and then some of the other stops in his career. But that's a guy who for a fact has the drive and passion and wants to win. If you don't know his story, he's got the chops to get this done. So Yeah, I'm fine with like either of these three. I think, yeah, as I said, I think the marriage between those two is probably the best option. But good for you, Cardinals. Like this feels like there's some hope.
I think we might be trying to convince ourselves.
I don't know
of that. I mean, you are in your third tier of candidates, and look, LaFleur is a guy that I think we can all convince ourselves that maybe it's the right move. I do get a little twinge of, is it Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph? I kind of feel a young offensive genius, veteran defensive coordinator. Are we heading down a similar path? At least they had Kyler Murray. There's no real quarterback here. That's kind of my fear with that. Campanile, a lot of bluster, but can he do it? Like, there's a Buddy Ryan feel to him where it's like a lot of grit, a lot of talk, I'm gonna break my foot off in your ass, and then no results that come along with it. Connor in the chat said his favorite Nick Cage movie is Sorcerer's Apprentice, which I actually considered for LaFleur because McVay is the sorcerer and LaFleur is the apprentice, and you've got to wonder, will the magic carry over for them as well? Any final thoughts, Shane, as we enter this week that will define the Cardinals for the future?
I don't know about final thoughts, but stay positive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, look, you're going to have to give the benefit of the doubt to whoever they hire because he's going to be your team's coach. And I'm a believer in you sit there and you wait to see how a guy actually coaches, if they win or lose, and how that plays out before you start to judge. I did that with Jordan Ott. I sat there and said, hey, you got to give this guy a chance. I think LaFleur, Campanile, Raheem Morris, you're going to have to see it. You can be mad at the front office. You can be mad at ownership, but you're going to have to see how it is. A big welcome to the bias in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Reese, DeWallaby, everybody that's in the chat, hit that like button while you're here. Over 140 of you in there. Let's get those likes up to 70 before you get out of here. Hit the join button. Become a member of our supporters club today to get amazing emojis, free super chat, and exclusive content as well. And right after this break, right after our halftime performance, you're getting the one, the only Johnny Venerable that's going to break it down like nobody else can right after this. Look, we all love Las Vegas, but we all hate to travel. So why bother with a flight or a 5-hour drive? Because Gila River Resorts and Casinos is bringing Vegas to you with their Vegas residency. Now through April, they are bringing everything that you love about Las Vegas, the energy, the attitude, and the excitement straight to you. They've got exclusive concerts. I heard 50 Cent was there this weekend. Extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, surprise cameos. Plus, you're not going to want to miss the fabulous Corvette giveaway and special perks for loyalty members. I got to tell you, they do it first class out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and I can't wait to experience what they have going on with this Vegas residency. I'm excited to find out who these special guests are and surprise cameos that they're going to have available. I can only imagine that it's going to be some of the biggest names in the business, and you're going to want to be there. So they bring Vegas only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com for a full calendar of events. And no, that's not the 101 on a Saturday night. That's Phoenix Raceway, because March 5th through the 8th, it's NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series weekend. The first time that it's ever happened. Now, they're not going to be racing on the same track at the same time. That's insanity, but they are going to be racing on the same day. So you're going to get the best entertainment in motorsports at the most beautiful venue in all of Arizona. You are going to enjoy the best, where you're going to see a pre-race concert. You're going to see the garages. You're going to see the drivers. You're going to get the best experience that you're going to be able to at the Desert Diamond Infield Experience. You're going to want to get tickets for that. Plus, you're going to just see the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all. It's the spring NASCAR weekend at Phoenix Raceway, and it's making history as NASCAR and NTT Series are sharing the same track on the same day. So secure your seats now at the link in our description. Amazing halftime performance by Bad Bunny. Couldn't believe that he showed up today. Hope you all enjoyed that as well. But now, the real show. You got me, you got the halftime act, but now we welcome in the one, the only, Johnny Venerable. Johnny, how are you?
Doing well. Big week. Exciting times, maybe.
Sure. I mean, I'm trying to convince myself that LaFleur is the genius that can change things, or Campanile is the guy that's going to get me so excited I'll run through the wall and pull a Kool-Aid man. We'll see. I mean, where do you stand? I mean, we kind of ranked it on our Nick Cage spectrum, but where do you stand with these three final candidates?
Is Mike LaFleur like Ghost Rider in this scenario? Wow. Ghost Rider 2?
I went with Raising Arizona, young with a lot of promise, where you could see where it could go. Somebody in the chat, I think it was Connor, said Sorcerer's Apprentice. Okay. Ghost Rider. That sounds like somebody worse.
That's just Johnny getting excited, I think.
Yeah, that is. That's an underrated film. All right, so let's get into it. I think this is played out well, assuming they can land this plane. There are good options available, some better than others. What I will not stand for this week is we're sitting here Thursday and Friday and they're still screwing around. Like, you've had enough time. Certainly, you've talked to enough people. You've talked to flipping half the league. We know who you like. Now, make a deal, because what last night's loss, because they're not getting Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak's likely going to go to the Raiders or potentially the Buffalo Bills. Clint Kubiak is out of their league, right? That's no harm, no foul, right? We assume that as this search went on. Like, if Robert Saleh wasn't taking this job, then Clint Kubiak, who I think is above a tier right. I mean, did you watch Clint Kubiak yesterday? I know Shane did. Just completely undressed Chris Shula. I mean, Clint Kubiak is going to be the Raiders head coach. So you don't wait. I saw people saying, like, wait, they can interview him this week. That's a waste of time, in my opinion. He's leaving your division. He beat your ass twice this year. I've seen enough of Clint Kubiak. Go to the AFC, right? This week needs to be about one of two things. Either vetting Mike LaFleur, that he's your guy, or vetting him that he's not your guy. Because as many people have mentioned, Raheem Morris, if you're going to hire Raheem Morris, should have hired him last week, right? Jump on your staff, get to work. OCs are being gobbled up. That tells me they're not going to hire Raheem Morris. It's much more likely that he and the guy who's there today, Anthony Weaver, are future DC candidates. Anthony Weaver was supposed to get in yesterday. Now, whether or not you want to buy into the semantics of he was going to get in yesterday and interview today, I disagree with that. We had a rap sheet report that said he was coming in to interview yesterday. He lives in Miami. I don't know if you guys have been tracking the weather out east. It's been a disaster. My take is that he had his flight canceled and he's interviewing today, which is whatever. I know people are upset about that. And poor Anthony Weaver has to just go through this process. I like the little inside baseball. The ex-head coach Jonathan Gannon went to Tennessee and they interviewed him for twice as long as they did Robert Saleh. Why'd they do that? Because they thought at the time they were hiring Matt Nagy and they tried to court him as their DC. I would imagine there's some of that going on. So I assume that we will get a Mike LaFleur interview request confirmation later today, please not tomorrow, and they'll have him in Tempe tomorrow. It would have been great if it was today, because we need resolution on this.
You don't think it's like one of those rom-coms where they're going to be walking Weaver around and trying to avoid him seeing LaFleur, who's also in the building? No double date today?
I think the Titans showed you, like, they brought in Nagy, then they brought in Saleh. Like, and if you're Anthony Weaver, it's like you're a long shot. You're going to have options as the DC, like, hear them out, right? And so I still think LaFleur could get in today. Shieldhouse, the difference is I think the Browns are going to Shieldhouse, but the flight between LA to Phoenix is much quicker than LA to Cleveland. So still possibility. But I mean, like, I believe the minute we get a confirmation that LaFleur is here, then it's just the next step is he becomes the head coach of this team. It would be very, very outside the box to bring him in here, interview him, and then turn around and hire Anthony Campanile. I think they want to give themselves every opportunity to select Mike LaFleur. And I've talked to people behind the scenes, and they've said he interviews well. He's well-spoken. I've watched clips of him. I've never met him. So I would assume he's going to carry himself well. The biggest thing is, like, what kind of staff can he bring? What's the plan at quarterback? But, I mean, like, I thought, and again, like, we can talk about this here in a second, but, like, the people with the perception of this is McVay's team, like, I agree with that and I disagree with that. Every single OC that McVay has had has become a successful NFL head coach. His brother Matt LaFleur, Liam Cohen, before he jumped to Tampa Bay, and then of course, 2 cycles ago you had Kevin O'Connell, or 2 OCs ago. So based on that logic alone, like, that is a selling point. You can go to your fan base and say, here's the 4th guy who is the OC for Sean McVay. These other coaches, we would kill to be in their position as franchises.
Is there a chance that LaFleur talks with Vegas or Buffalo, or is there no kind of smoke on either of those fronts? That seems like
there's always a chance.
This seems like the one way you could get screwed in this situation.
Yeah, and how would that happen? There's a chance if you screw around, which, like, people are like, talk to Clint Kubiak. Okay, if you want to lose out on Mike LaFleur, if you want to drag your feet, that you got a gift yesterday. The Rams lost. Get a move on it. What are you waiting for? I was at the Super Bowl 3 years ago when they hired Jonathan Gannon. It was a nightmare. They had to wait. They couldn't put a staff together. It led to his downfall eventually. Now, he could have made changes, but that's neither here nor there. Like, get him locked in and then turn around and pay Raheem Morris or Anthony Weaver a premium to come here and be your defensive coordinator. That's your offseason. You have hit a home run for those first 2 acquisitions if you don't drag your feet. Jonathan Gannon is making as much money as the Packers DC as he made as the head coach of this franchise. So you're not paying Jonathan Gannon. There's a very good chance that Cliff Kingsbury ends up the OC in Baltimore. So your contract obligations to Cliff are minimal, probably like $1 to $2 million max. He'll get good money in Baltimore. You're not paying 3 head coaches. So I honestly do believe that this is in play, that Raheem or an ex-head coach is in play for a DC for Mike LaFleur. And I like Anthony Campanile. If they went with him, I wouldn't be upset. Who is this proven offensive coach that he is bringing in here? You're bringing in Mike LaFleur to say, I want a piece of the McVay tree. I want to mirror what they do structurally from a day-to-day standpoint, and then we'll go and get an ex-head coach to be our DC. Like, I see the logic in that. It makes sense to me. Whereas Campanile, I think it would be a great motivator. But, like, look at yesterday, for instance. Like, what happens if your quarterback gets hurt and then suddenly you look like the Broncos? And it's just like, I would rather have the offensive coach to be able to come in here and your floor is much higher. Like, people are talking about, like, oh, I don't want Mike LaFleur because he's never called plays at a high level. They had a situation in which when he got hired and they brought in, their staff offensively with the Jets with Robert Saleh in 2021, Greg Knapp, who is a close mentor, confidant of Mike LaFleur, died tragically that offseason. They drafted Zach Wilson. And it was just a perfect storm. And so, like, do I know he's going to be a huge success here if they sign him? No, but, like, I can understand the optics of how that went bad quickly with the Jets.
My PTSD, you hear young offensive mind, you hear veteran, former head coach as a DC. I think Cliff Kingsbury and Vance Joseph. Tell me why that would not be what we're looking at again here.
Well, because, I think it's a better version of that. I think, like, Cliff Kingsbury didn't come from the LaFleur Shanahan tree. He came from the collegiate level. He had never been in the NFL. And you did that partially, and I understood the logic and support at the time. You were drafting Kyler Murray first overall, who worked with him at the college level. Like, there were optics there that made sense. And, like, listen, as much as, like, Cardinal fans don't want Vance Joseph as their head coach, like, that was relatively successful just as he didn't fail as a DC here. He didn't light the world on fire. Like, if Raheem Morris comes here and does, like, a similar job, but then you have more stability on offense, it's a winning formula. You can wrap your arms around it. Like, I get that. And you see that mirrored across the NFL. Like, McDaniel, who was just fired, in Miami, what did they do? They got him Vic Fangio, and he made the playoffs a couple of times. And then with Anthony Weaver, like if Tua doesn't implode, like they're still viable. This happens every offseason. I think it makes a ton of sense in the world. And Bo said it on our show Friday, and I'll beat the drum for this. There's significantly more opportunities for you if you lose a DC or have to pivot off one to go and get another one every offseason. They're available, right? They're available in sometimes very good quantities. But look what happened with Mike McDaniel, the real like competent play caller. When he's made available, it is like a feeding frenzy, something the Cardinals could not win. So like if you hire Anthony Campanile and you hit on an OC and you have a rookie quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss comes in here and has a really nice rookie year, and then you lose your OC, it's like, oh no, what are we doing here? Like, look what happened to CJ Stroud. Like, they can't get him right. And D'Amico's great. And there's a likelihood that Anthony Campanile will never be D'Amico Ryans. I think that it's this Mike LaFleur, to me, is the safest bet. He is not a sure thing. You're not wrong for wanting other candidates. But like this, if you're Monty Ossenfort, this is it for you, my guy. You are getting fired if this does not work. You can't hire Raheem Morris. He's been fired twice. He's got an under 500 record. The optics of that look bad. And Campanile, I think, probably is more suited next year to be a head coach. Let him be a high-end DC for 2 years.
If it's LaFleur, are we getting Jimmy Garoppolo for a year? Are we getting Pretty Boy?
I can't even comprehend quarterback. Like this coaching search has been so taxing and emotionally draining for me. Like I can't even think personnel. As long as they get the coach right, you could talk me into so many things for 2026. A rookie, a bridge, a journeyman, a street free agent, whatever you want. The coach matters so much, though. And I get it. Quarterback is 1A to coach 1B. But here's the difference. The Cardinals get to pick the coach. The quarterback, it might just be outside your control right now. Niners don't have to trade you Mac Jones. There's no quarterback worthy of the 3rd overall pick. Davis Mills or Malik Wilson free agency, bleh. Like, you're going to have to get into a room and figure it out, especially with Kyler Murray, his trade/release imminent. So I don't know. I would say check back in. But wouldn't you feel better, Espo, if it was like Mike LaFleur is going to handle the quarterback instead of like a defensive head coach? But again, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I liked Robert Saleh to come in and just dominate, and you have a top 5 to 7 defense and you're trying to win games like 17-13. So maybe there is logic there.
No, I agree. I've wanted an offensive coach, and that's why LaFleur is at the top of my list. By the way, Brian, one of our bias in the chat, said stop with the Chambliss stuff, Johnny.
I mean, just a cute little day 2, day 3 pick. This is a cute little day 3 pick. I wouldn't have an issue with that, but not in the first round, probably not in the second. He has to act like he wants to come to the NFL too. But
I also think he's shrinking.
Yeah, he might be small. Like if when we go to the combine, if I stand next to him, if he's close to me, we'll
Johnny,
out that.
I texted you when I met him. He's
not big. No, he'll be. I think conventional wisdom says he'll probably be a day 3 pick.
He is Johnny Venerable. You can follow him at Johnny Venerable. He will have you updated if anything happens on the socials. And that the PHNX Cardinals guys, him, Noah, Bo, will be right here at 4:30 p.m. updating you on the coaching search. Or if something breaks, they'll be here for an emergency pod. Johnny, I appreciate you. And I appreciate your dedication for doing an hour-long episode on a Saturday.
Loved it. It was so nice to be free of Bo. And I could just riff unapologetically on a Saturday. My wife and my kids, they loved it too. I was like, see ya, family. It's time to talk ball. No, it was good. Take care, guys.
We're just going to make you do 7 days a week. He's Johnny Venerable. Another big thank you to him. And that is another edition of Southwest Bias in the books. A big thank you to the mustache behind the Mac, Shane Diefenbach. You can follow him at Shane Dief. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. You can follow me at Espo. And remember, it's an important week. The Cardinals can't afford to screw it up. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.